What's up YouTube? I'm Joe, you're watching my channel Ink&Iron, and today we have a little quick discussion video about how to break in a multi-tool. And this isn't exactly specific to pliers based tools, but they are my preference, and I do find them to be a bit stiff at the outset when you first get them. This here is my Leatherman Surge. This is in the black oxide finish, I believe they call it, and here's the Gerber NST suspension tool. This is currently in review and I'm enjoying it quite a bit, but it did come rather stiff, and it reminded me that when I first got my Surge, I worked on it quite a bit to loosen up the action. As you can see, every time I go to close these handles, this one breaks away first. That's because it is looser than the other pivot point. And that being said, the other pivot is just fine, fully functional, but as you can see, the tolerances are going to vary from side to side on your tool. And yeah, so I'm going to show you what you can do about a really stiff tool. For me, this Gerber NST suspension, the plier opening was a bit gritty, and then the tools on this side, the clip side with the Phillips driver, these were super stiff, and they still are pretty stiff. As you can see, the knife blade comes out very easily if I just use my thumb, whereas the Phillips head struggle a bit more. And yeah, getting access to the file back here is a real pain. So, how did I loosen these up to make them usable? The first step is just in general, keep your tool clean. If you gunk it up at the during the workday, make sure you clean it off at the end of the workday. I'm actually guilty of this right now. This does have some stuff on it from work. I work in cannabis, so everything that gets on here basically makes it sticky, and I clean it with rubbing alcohol. So keep it clean. The first main point is going to be lubrication. You want to lubricate the tool at the pivot points specifically. So right here, right where all the tools rotate around and interact with a lock, or, you know, depending on the tool, just a slip mechanism. This is where you're going to get the most binding and seizing of the tools. That is the case here with like my Phillips driver and my awl and my file. So I've been repeatedly lubricating right here, and what I use is, this is food grade mineral oil. Sometimes it will be sold as butcher block oil, like butcher block treatment. All you want to do is apply just a little bit. I like this needle applicator, makes things easier. Just a little bit. You can see it's kind of shiny on there. Maybe a few drops worth, and especially here for the Gerber tool, because as you can see, it came textured. And this is the part where the handles actually open. They open and close by sliding across this part. So yeah, I'm just going to put a little bit of oil, and that'll pretty much do it. And then once you lubricate, repetition is going to be your friend. Open and close the tool repeatedly. If you need specifically to wear in the handles like I did for this Gerber, I like to hold the pliers closed with my thumb and then work the handle back and forth. I actually had quite a gritty action at first, but as you can hear, it's nice and smooth and it locks up just fine. And yeah, I did that especially on this side because, as you can see, the wear pattern suggests that this interface is a lot more widespread than this one over here. So you're going to have asymmetrical wear on your tool. That's totally normal. It even happens on, you know, finer tools like the Leatherman here. Things with, you know, tighter tolerances even. As it nests in the handles, it wears against here, it wears against here. So it's a very normal thing for a tool to come stiff, and it is a very normal thing for a tool to wear a little bit unevenly. You know, these things aren't perfect. They have their own faults, and we just got to live with them. And then finally, if something isn't working to your satisfaction, one, just be persistent, do as many repetitions as possible. I had to open and close this Phillips driver oh, probably a couple hundred times. And like I did it at work. I was in between processes, so I was just like sitting there going back and forth like this. I'm depressing the lock here to disengage it so that I can properly get in here. If you're having problems with the lock, definitely check both ways. You know, disengage the lock and let the lock do its thing. And if you find that one way is stiffer than another, then work on that specifically. I find these tools to be stiff regardless of whether or not I'm disengaging the lock. So I just kept working them. I worked them, you know, in the first third of their range of motion, in the middle third, in the last third, here, and then, you know, do overall kind of motions. Just keep working at it. The more repetitions you put in with proper lubrication, the faster this is going to break in. And yeah, it can make even this budget-minded tool much, much smoother. I've actually really enjoyed this tool after breaking it in. At first I was like, oh man, this is going to be a really long week of review. But after about just a day or so of working the specific tools back and forth, it really loosened up quite a bit. And the reason I say lubricate is because I didn't lubricate my surge for the longest time. And then I did like a full cleaning and I was like, you know what, let me go ahead and lube it. And this is like after 4 years of use, and I lubed it up, and like suddenly the tools were all super smooth, and I was like, oh my god, I should have done this years ago. So yeah, lubrication, repetition, and if you really need to, I guess modification would be the very last sort of step in making a tool smoother. But honestly, if you're having such a problem operating your tool, check and see if there's a warranty. Try to get a replacement. Sometimes you just get a lemon, you know? Sometimes you're hoping for a good apple and you get a lemon. That's just how it goes. So yeah, that's all I've got to say about that. Good luck in breaking in your multi-tools. I do recommend a sort of mid-weight oil like this. You can see it's not quite as thin as water. This is food grade, by the way, so if that's a concern for you, mineral oil will perform adequately. You could use something like Tough Glide or 3-in-1 oil. Whatever you've got will be better than running it dry. Absolutely. Okay, I've been Joe. You've been watching Ink&Iron. For more stuff like this, feel free to subscribe and like this video if you liked it. I also collect fountain pens, have lots of writing gear. I collect knives as well. So if you're into that kind of everyday carry, everyday luxury kind of stuff, feel free to stick around, and I'll catch you on my next video. Bye.